Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching us. Thank you to telling your friends to come to Togetherness Media and watch our programs. In this segment, let's talk about mental illness. I have a couple questions, and I decided to invite Dr. Payam Kade from Los Angeles. He's based on Los Angeles, but obviously you can find him on social media and contact him if you have any questions. So, Dr. Kade, hello and welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Amir. How are you? Good to see you again.
Thank you. Pleasure to see you. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And so, what is mental illness?
Every time we talk about mental illness, people become alarmed, right? And some people become stressed because
Like
they
this,
think
right?
it's going to
Ding,
be
ding.
it's either a difficult topic to talk about or it's a stressful topic. As soon as it comes up, I notice anyone that I talk to about mental illness, they become alarmed and they think, oh my God, what is this going to be about? So I'm hoping that with this little bit of time that we are going to we discuss mental illness, we look at it like any other illness, because there has always been throughout the years a stigma attached to mental illness. There is always a thought in the back of our head, including myself. As soon as you say mental illness or somebody has mental illness, a lot of people think, oh, so that person must be crazy or out of control, or it's a person that we cannot live with. It's not a person that we can work with. So they put that person aside, or that person becomes marginalized. So I'm hoping that does change, and it has over the years. I think with a lot of studies that have come out, a lot of wonderful speakers that have come out to talk about this throughout different cultures, there has been a shift. So it's not really looked at as the person is totally crazy. It's sometimes looked at this just like anything else, like blood pressure or having lupus. Any other disorder is not looked at that way, right? So if you go talk to someone, you can actually tell them, oh, I do have high blood pressure, but you never tell them you have mental health problem, right? So that is an issue still, and I think it's going to be for a number of years to come, because it has to do with the way we function and the way we behave. Obviously, a disease like lupus does not necessarily change your behavior dramatically, but a mental illness can. It can impact you. It can impact your behavior. It can impact your social skills. It can impact your relationships. That's why there is so much stigma behind it. So we have to make sure we understand that. Now, there is obviously two kinds of, in a general sense, there is two kinds of mental illness. One is a genetic, which we have when we are born, like some form of bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, and you go on and so on and so forth. These disorders are genetic. This is not something caused by the environment. And of course, there is mental illness that is caused by the environment.
Right.
I would generally say that a mental illness that is caused by it's a genetic factor would probably require more medication and talk therapy, like psychotherapy.
Right.
In a case of a mental health disorder that is the cause of an environment, then it's a different story. Medication necessarily is not the first course of treatment. Talk therapy could actually resolve some of the symptoms, and basically we can control the symptoms and hopefully help the person function a lot more within the norm of the society, right? So that's number two.
Sorry, when you're talking about talk therapy, are you talking about cognitive therapy or behavior therapy?
It's different modalities of psychotherapy. It depends on which therapist you pick, what is your preference. So people, obviously, we have all kinds of different therapy. We have talk therapy that comes from Gestalt form of therapy. We have sort of a family therapy. We have MTC. We have all cognitive therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. So it depends on what kind of a therapist you pick and how much expertise they have in that field. right? Or
Okay.
in that modality that they use, how much
Right.
experience they have. But I would say in general, psychotherapy should be looked at as a process.
Mm-hmm.
It just like when you are going to lower your blood pressure, there
Mm-hmm.
is a process behind it, right? So you may start taking medication to lower your blood pressure, but the doctor will change you. They will tell you have to change your habits. You have to start walking. You have to start doing some form of exercise. You have to sleep better. All kinds of stuff. If they give you a regiment of stuff to do, to keep your blood pressure in control and hopefully get rid of the problem.
Right.
The same thing goes with psychotherapy. So if people assume that I will go to 5 sessions of psychotherapy and then I'm done, that is usually not the case unless it's a very isolated situation that you're dealing with, that you may be able to receive some knowledge and wisdom and maybe gain some insight into the problem, and then you basically pass a hurdle and then it's not really bothering you anymore. You can deal with it on your own after that for fifth or 10th session, right? But in
Right.
majority of the cases, unfortunately, it does take a lot longer than that. Sometimes the course of a treatment could be 2 to 3 years. I have people that have been seeing me for 4 years now,
Mm.
and I can definitely say that their life has dramatically improved. When I say isolated, situated situation, it's something that could be maybe as a result of you being fired from your job or maybe being sexually harassed. And you may have gone through a situational trauma that has not impacted you very severely. And once you go through the psychotherapy, or maybe you find another job and situation in your life change, time lapses, then you may actually feel better and you may
Yeah,
not really
exactly.
need to continue your treatment, right?
Yes.
But there are other situations like anger management is not
Mm-hmm.
something you can define or understand and deal with in 5 sessions. It takes
Right.
a long time. And the reason behind it is because your view of life has to change. You have to find the source of your anger. For example, I have a patient who cannot forgive his dad for
Mm-hmm.
what he has done to him in his childhood. It's with him every single day of his life. It encompasses all aspects of his life. That's when psychotherapy needs to be a lot longer. Now,
Right.
when I say environmental, I have to point out a few things that would result in the cause of a psychological dilemma or problem for people. For example, let's say there is a loss in the family. You have
Mm-hmm.
lost a job. You have
Mm-hmm.
lost your income. You have been isolated for a while, like what we have with COVID-19. A perception of life that you have, maybe a distorted view of life. It may be a very negative, impacted view that you have since childhood of what life is all about. You may not have any positive perspective of life. It may be an issue that you have with your health, like God forbid, a cancer or some kind of an illness that is long lasting and it's becoming chronic. So that definitely will have a psychological impact on you unless you're a very resilient and very strong person. It will at some point impact you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other things like maybe divorce, a separation from a girlfriend, maybe a change in your sex drive or sexual relationship
Mm-hmm.
you have with someone. It may be a general stress. It could be a trauma that you have experienced. That could be maybe even short lived. It could be a very serious car crash that may have
Wow.
ended in maybe 3 minutes, right? But it could
Mm-hmm.
have a serious impact on you. Those are the stuff that I'm talking about that would require um, psychotherapy or talk therapy. I call it talk therapy because it's easier that way
I understand.
for people to understand.
Yes. And this is
Sometimes
a
when you say psychotherapy, they think it includes medication. It's not necessarily that. That is not necessarily the case at all.
correct. Right. Right. So you already mentioned about how do we get it. There's some part of different, but I want to just vent something because you mentioned you see some people for 3-4 years. One of the big reason people coming to see you and see the therapist uh, because they see the improvement, they see the change, and every week, sometimes every day, especially when they have a mindfulness and awareness about everything, they see the change and improvement, and they feel better. That's why they like to continue.
Right.
It was almost maybe not a year ago, maybe 10 months, 11 months ago. My clinical psychologist, my therapist and life coach, he said, I don't want to see you anymore. I said, why? And he said, just use your knowledge. Every time I bring some questions, he never answered me. It was almost 2-3 months. He never answered me. He said, use your knowledge. And he tried to challenge me. And then I bring the answer in maybe maximum 2 minutes. So, and after a few months, he said, I don't want to see you anymore.
Very good point. You actually made a very, very important point. Because oftentimes we misunderstand. We think that life is about experiences, right? And we are going to learn from our experiences. Now, I'm going to bring a very maybe vulgar thought here. If a man sleeps with 20 different women, does that mean he's going to be better in a relationship? No. So it's not about experiences. Sometimes the wrong experience is not going to help you.
Exactly.
But a good knowledge base.
Knowledge.
Right.
And then
knowledge,
practice.
The education behind it, exactly. The education, good education, wisdom behind it helps. Not just necessarily having an experience. If somebody tells me, oh, I have had 5 car crashes, that does not mean they're a better driver now. It doesn't mean at all. But sometimes they assume that they are because they have gone through so much. So it's not about life experiences. I think your therapist was trying to say that you're already equipped with the knowledge. You can already, you're already a resilient person. You can use your own knowledge. Just trust yourself, and you can meet the challenges of your life and pass the hurdles like everybody else, right?
Right.
So I think that's when the misunderstanding is experience is going to help. So sometimes somebody tells me, yeah, well, I checked with my mom and she helped me through this. And I'm like, okay, so how much your mother knows? She's 65 years old. She's very experienced. Age does not bring experience. No, I'm not trying to put down anyone that is older. So please don't let me be misunderstood. I am not saying that every experience is not going to teach you something. Obviously, every experience in life does teach you. But sometimes a knowledge base, a good knowledge base that you have, even reading some good books, is going to equip you with some information that is going to help you. That is why somebody goes to business school, right? They learn about business. Somebody goes to law school. They gain the knowledge that they need. And then, of course, with practice, they become better and better at it. But if they don't have that knowledge base, it doesn't matter how much they practice in a law firm. They're never going to become a very good attorney if they don't go to law school. So I think knowledge base is extremely important. And I think one of the things that I always do in therapy is to make sure that I equip them with the knowledge that they need. Does that mean I'm very knowledgeable? No. Does it mean that I know how to get you there? Yes, absolutely. I can help you get there. And that comes with different ways. And one of the things that if we have time, I wanted to discuss with you.
Yeah, please.
How to support the person to get to that point.
I wish you could see our chat room. Everybody's sending heart. Thank you. You are amazing. And thank you to all of our audience and viewer. They have, they pay attention and they're watching us and they're sharing with the friends. Yes, please. Go ahead with
I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad they're doing that. I think one of the reasons I think when we chat, you and I were chatting, I said, let's talk about this topic is because we can see all over the world, and especially where we live right now, it's becoming a huge issue right now. Mental health is a huge issue, and almost no one really talks about it. The reason they don't talk about it is 2 reasons. 1, they don't know about it, right? 2, they deny it. People do that all the time.
Most of the time is the second one, denying.
It's the second
they don't
want to accept.
They don't want to accept. They said, okay,
absolutely,
this is it. I'm this. I'm like that.
Right.
Nobody can change me. I cannot change myself. Or they're trying to change the others.
Right. Or they use the word, they should accept me for the way I am. Okay. Even if we accept you for the way you are, but are you happy with the way you are right now? If you're not, then you need to equip yourself with the knowledge that you need to
Mm-hmm.
help yourself go through a stages of life, which is so you can become much more impactful. You can actually become a more resilient person who can deal with issues, who can help yourself, help others, and ultimately be a happy person in life. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, denial doesn't help it. Brushing
Mm-hmm.
it under the carpet does not help it. Facing it, dealing with it, talking about it, getting knowledge and education about it always helps, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like if I have a neck pain and I keep denying it, is it going to
Mm-hmm.
go away? It probably won't. But if I start exercising, go to a doctor, see a physical therapist, all of the above, then I may improve. And this is exactly the same thing. And one of the biggest issues with psychotherapy in families, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
is that we do not know how to support the person who has mental illness. We have an issue with that, right? We
Mm-hmm.
either ignore it if we are a parent, or it's our spouse, we constantly blame them, right? And one of the things that really needs to change is the way we look at mental health. That's why the number one thing that I brought up is that mental health is like
Mm-hmm.
any other disease. Please
Mm-hmm.
don't look at it as crazy and not crazy. There
Yeah,
is no such
exactly.
thing. It's a disease that needs to be dealt with just like anything else in life, right?
Right.
And there are ways we can support someone else. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the ways we can support a person is the main most important thing is to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient with that person. Do not put a stigma on them. Do not put a label on them. Do not judge them or diagnose them fast. Oh, you have depression or you're bipolar. I see people come and talk to me and they say, "Well, my boyfriend says I'm bipolar."
Okay.
And I'm like, "Okay,
They
so
put
what
a
does your
lots of they
boyfriend do for a
putting
living?"
lots of labels.
Right.
This. So.
And I say, "So what does your boyfriend do?" He's in construction. Okay, so how does he know about bipolar? He may have heard a few things that maybe your mood goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not mean you may have bipolar. You may just have a hormone disorder. You may have a lot
Right.
of physical stuff that you need to deal with. It may
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily be a mental health problem. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why even if you see a mental health professional, first they will send you to a doctor to make sure you rule out all the physical issues that you may have.
Right.
And then
Right.
they start with psychotherapy. The other thing that I want to mention is make sure that you tell them how you feel about them. It is very important to tell a person how you feel about them, that you care about them. Be with them, spend time with them, unless they ask for some free time. They want to check out and go do something else on their own, that's fine, but spend time with them.
Be
Make sure you
supportive.
take care of your own psychotherapy, your own mental health,
Mm-hmm.
not psychotherapy. Make sure you take care of your own mental health. A lot of people these days are helping others, but they're totally crushed and destroyed themselves,
Right.
right? They're falling apart, but they're telling me that they're helping someone else. And I'm like, please make sure when the mask drops, you put it on your own face first. Then you try
Amazing.
to help others. It is
Right.
extremely important for you to realize that I am actually suffering right now myself and I need to help myself. The other thing that I think is very important, I'm going to leave it for you to ask any question you may have. Make sure you get educated about these stuff. Don't just go out there and talk about mental illness. Get some education, read some books. There is a lot of good information that is available even online.
Yeah, there's a lots of
You can go
free. There is a
to,
lots of
but
free
right, but please
podcast,
make sure you go to
YouTube.
websites that are websites and listen to people that are valid and qualified. There are a
Yes,
lot of people that
exactly.
make comments and suggestions, but they may not be good enough for you.
No, definitely. Good. We have lots of good information from clinical psychologists, professional people, TED Talk. There is lots of good speech, and also people need to research to find a professional person with
Absolutely, and
enough
mhm.
knowledge and experience. I always I use this word, good practice, because practice based on knowledge. And my question, you already mentioned the couple things, but how do you help someone who has this problems or issues?
I think it depends on your relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do not have a very close bond or a
Mm-hmm.
close relationship with them, they may reject you. Any suggestions you may make, they may refuse to follow, or they may not even want to associate with you. So number one thing for me is, what kind of a relationship do you have with that person?
Mm-hmm.
Your relationship is close relationship, is it a distant relationship? Are you basically overstepping your boundaries? Maybe this is a coworker. You don't need to deal with the mental health of a coworker. What
Mm-hmm.
you need to do is for you to be with them and be there for them, not label them, not judge them, not put them down.
Be
Bring out,
supportive.
be supportive and bring out their best. If you're using somebody else, or you're in a relationship with someone else, if they're trying to help you, you need to see if they're actually trying to bring out your best, or are they bringing out your worst. So the most important thing is to make sure that in any relationship, that person is, their impact is bringing out your best.
Mm-hmm.
They're empowering you, right? They're encouraging you. They're taking care of you. They're holding you. They're holding your feelings sensitive, and more importantly, they're keeping it confidential. They're not sharing it with everybody, a person that they meet.
Exactly.
They don't go to their friends and say, "Well, my husband has this issue." If you're sharing with your wife has to make sure that this stays confidential. So that person gains trust in you. It is
Mm-hmm.
extreme. Like we have talked before many times over this topic.
Mm-hmm.
The base of any
Trust.
relationship is trust
Mm-hmm.
and caring.
Mm-hmm.
It may not necessarily be love, but it's caring and trust. If
Mm-hmm.
these two are established, any person can become vulnerable and open up to you and share with you their deepest secrets. And I think
Right.
that is the best way to help someone is taking these steps, making sure that you keep that information with yourself. Keep it like a doctor-patient relationship, that kind of a thing. Don't share it with other people, so that person can always trust you, knows that there is always a shoulder, not just an ear that is going to hear it and then is going to whisper it in somebody else's.
Correct. Correct. Amazing. So we have one or two more minutes. If you want to add something, please.
Uh, I want to just say one thing. School started in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
places today,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that this is going to be a hardship for a lot of people that are out there right now. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
parents, a lot of teachers, and we think this is just difficult for the kids. It is not. It is difficult for the parents, like we talked about last week. It
Mm-hmm.
is going to be extremely difficult for teachers, because this is probably the first time 800,000 kids here in California right now are studying online. And
Mm-hmm.
some of them don't even have the equipment, or they
Mm-hmm.
don't have the ability to get online so
Mm-hmm.
they can do their schoolwork, so they can
Mm-hmm.
pursue their future, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have to be very sensitive these days to all of these individuals. So if you're a parent and you're out there, my suggestion is, if you're going to contact a teacher, please be sensitive to that teacher. Do not lash out. Don't take out your anger on them. Don't take out your anger on your child. Be sensitive to their needs, understand them, listen to them, and
And more
leave
kind,
a little bit
be
room
more
for
kind.
yourself. Right, and be kind to yourself as well,
Mm-hmm.
please,
Mm-hmm.
and don't punish yourself for
Mm-hmm.
things that are going wrong. We are not in a normal state of life. We are
Right.
trying to get there, but we're not there right now. And if
Right.
anybody's denying it, just look around yourself. You may be okay, but there are other people that are not, and we have to be sensitive to them.
Yes, yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Kate. As usual, you're amazing and super, super knowledgeable.
Thank you. I try
Always,
to keep it
I
brief.
learn. Thank you so much. I wish we could, have you at least 2 times a week. But if you find the time, let me know. Just shoot me a text, and definitely
I will.
we love to have you and talking about more stuff. I really appreciate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time. Thank you, and
Thank you.
thank you for
Thank you.
your viewers for listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So, as you know, you can watch all of our program in our website and app. Download our app for free and subscribe for free, because you want to watch all of our programs free forever. Stay in touch and don't go anywhere, because we have more music and yoga.